Hello, good morning everyone.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. So let us start today's session. Bayes theorem and machine learning. So in the last class, we had a discussion about Bayes theorem. So let us have a recap and then we'll proceed. The Bayes theorem describes the probability of an event based on the prior knowledge of the conditions that might be related to the particular event. If we know the conditional probability, say for example, we are having two events A and B. And if we know the conditional probability of event A given B, we can use Bayes' rule to find out the reverse probabilities. That means the probability of B given A can be computed. So we have seen the Bayes' rule in the last class. So Bayes' rule says that probability of B given A is equal to probability of A given B into probability of B divided by probability of A. So in this class, we are going to relate Bayes' theorem that we discussed to machine learning theory. So how Bayes' theorem can be useful for solving machine learning problems? That we are going to discuss next. In machine learning, for solving a particular problem, we have a hypothesis space. So what is hypothesis space? The hypothesis space includes all possible hypotheses, those we may use to solve the problem. But even though we are having many number of hypotheses in the hypothesis space, those can be used. We are interested in a hypothesis that has best suitable or that is the optimal to solve the problem. Thus, in machine learning, we are often interested in determining the best hypothesis from the hypothesis space given some training data D. So what we are supposed to do is we need to determine the best hypothesis from some hypothesis space capital H, and we are provided with some data, training data denoted as D. Right? That means we always demand the most probable hypothesis H given the training data D. And also in addition, we may have some initial knowledge about the prior probabilities of the various hypotheses and also the hypothesis space capital H. So, Bayes' theorem provides a direct method for computing the probability of a hypothesis based on its prior probability. The probabilities of observing data given the hypothesis and the observed data itself. Thus, Bayes' theorem needs three different quantities. So what are those three different quantities? Number one, it requires the probability of hypothesis based on its prior probability. Right? That is the first thing needed. So Bayes theorem requires the probability of hypothesis based on its prior probability. What next? It also requires the probabilities of observing various data given the hypothesis. Right? And the third important thing required is the observed data itself. Right? So, of Bayes theorem for finding out the best hypothesis from hypothesis space H, we need three important quantities. And what are those three quantities? First, the probability of hypothesis based on its prior probability, the probabilities of observing various data given the hypothesis, and the observed data itself. So, the Bayes theorem allows us to compute probability of H given D. It allows us to compute the probability of hypothesis H given training data D. So let's try to write the Bayes theorem now in terms of the hypothesis and the training data set D. So we have gone through the Bayes theorem. So on the similar lines, now we are going to write the Bayes theorem using this hypothesis H and the training data set that we have, that is D. So see here how we are writing this Bayes theorem. So what we want to compute of hypothesis H given D, and that is equal to probability of D given H into probability of hypothesis H divided by probability of training data set D. Right? So I'll repeat how we have written this. What we want to compute? We want to compute the probability of hypothesis D. So this probability of H given D is equal to probability of D given H into probability of H divided by probability of D, where this probability of D given H, probability of D given H is the probability of observing data D given some hypothesis H that holds. So how to interpret this probability? Probability of observing data D given some hypothesis H that holds. Right? Are you getting me? This means that if the hypothesis is true, what is the likelihood of that data being generated, or in other words, we may say that if the hypothesis H is true, what is the probability of D being generated? So, let me repeat once again. What we want to compute probability of hypothesis H given the training data D. And according to Bayes rule, we have formulated this problem. So we are having here the first term, probability of D given H. So what we mean by probability of D given H? It is the probability of observing data D given some hypothesis H that holds. What does this mean? This means that if the hypothesis is true, what is the likelihood of this data D that is being generated? Or we may say that if the hypothesis H is true, what is the probability of this data D that is being generated? Right? Now, what is this P of H? This P of H is actually the prior probability or the initial probability that hypothesis H holds before observing the training data. Before observing the training data. So P of H, that is the probability of H, is the prior probability or the initial probability that hypothesis H holds before observing the training data. So it gives the probability of the hypothesis prior to observing the data, So it is a prior probability. Okay, now this probability of D is the prior probability of training data D. That means the probability of D given no knowledge about the hypothesis. Right? So probability of H is the prior probability or initial probability that hypothesis H holds. So here the data is not presented. Okay, and what is this probability of D? It is the prior probability of training data D. So while computing this probability of D, there is no knowledge about the hypothesis. Okay, now based on all these three quantities, what we are going to compute? We are going to compute probability that H holds given the observed training data D. Probability that H holds given the observed training data D. Please understand all those concepts. We are going to look at one example also so that we can have a clear idea how to apply Bayes theorem for prediction. Right? But this is the But this is the important theory behind, and that is why you need to understand this. Right? So this probability of H given D is also called as the posterior probability of H. Probability of H given D is also called as the posterior probability of H because it reflects our confidence that H holds after we have seen the training data. Right? So this probability of H given D is also known as the posterior probability. Okay? Thus, the Bayes theorem actually provides us the posterior probability of H given D. Okay? May I proceed?
Yes, sir.
Fine. Now, based on all those basic concepts, the quantities, those are being used to compute this posterior probability or to compute the probability of hypothesis H given some training data D. Right? Now, what we are going to do next is using now Bayes theorem, we are going to actually look at how to choose the hypothesis. Right? So, in many learning scenarios, the learner considers some set of candidate hypothesis, capital H. So we are in the hypothesis space H, and using this hypothesis H, space H, we are supposed to come up with a hypothesis that is best suitable. So this small h stands for the hypothesis that we are going to select, and this capital H stands for the hypothesis space that we have. So we are going to find out the hypothesis H that belongs to the hypothesis space capital H. And this hypothesis that we are going to pick will be the most probable given the observed data. Right? So, such maximally probable hypothesis is called as maximum a posteriori hypothesis. Maximum a posteriori hypothesis, or it is abbreviated as MAP hypothesis, MAP, maximum a posteriori hypothesis, or MAP hypothesis. So, we can determine this MAP hypothesis by using the Bayes theorem to calculate the posterior probability of each candidate hypothesis. I'll repeat. What we have, we are having this hypothesis space H, which includes many hypotheses, say H1, H2, H3, and so on. So, what we are going to do, we are going to find out the probability for every hypothesis in the hypothesis space. Right? So, we are going to compute the maximum a posteriori hypothesis. Right? So, what is this maximum a posteriori hypothesis? The hypothesis which is maximally probable. Right? So, the hypothesis that is providing us the maximum probability that we are going to select. But to come up with the hypothesis that is giving us maximum probability, what we need to do? We need to compute this probability of H given D for all the hypotheses those we have in hypothesis space. Right? So more precisely, if we try to find out HMAP, that is the maximum a posteriori hypothesis, we can formally write few mathematical expressions. So look at those expressions. I'm going to explain you all these expressions. Right? So we want to compute this HMAP. And this HMAP is actually the maximum a posteriori hypothesis that we are expecting. Okay? Now, how we are going to compute it? We are using here ARG-max of H that belongs to capital H. And we are computing probability of H given D. So what is this H? H is every hypothesis in this hypothesis space capital H. So as I stated, we are going to compute the probability of H given D for each hypothesis in our hypothesis space. Right? And what is role of this ARG-max? This ARG-max will allow us to find out the hypothesis that is giving us the maximum probability. Right? So for whichever hypothesis we are getting the maximum probability, that would be my HMAP. Right? Now, based on the Bayes theorem now, simply what we are going to do next is, we are substituting the Bayes theorem for this probability of H given D. So, our HMAP becomes ARG-max for H that belongs to capital H, probability probability of D given H into probability of H divided by probability of D. Right? By simply plugging in the definition of Bayes theorem to compute probability of H given D. So we have substituted this Bayes theorem here and we have come up with this expression H map equal to argmax H that belongs to capital H, probability of D given H into probability of H divided by probability of D. Right? Now, what we can observe here is this probability of D in the denominator. This is probability of D in denominator. So, what is this probability of D? This is the prior probability of training data D. It is the prior probability of training data D. So, the probability of D given no knowledge of hypothesis. Right? So, this probability of D, capital D, actually can be omitted because it is a constant and that is independent of the hypothesis H. Right? So, while computing the probabilities for all the hypotheses, this probability of D remains same. It is constant, which is independent of the hypothesis H. So, to simplify our expression, what we can do is, we can omit this probability of D. And thus, we may have now, or we may come up with the expression now that H map is equal to argmax H that belongs to capital H, probability of D given H into probability of H. Right? So, this expression is actually the maximum posterior. Yes.
Ma'am, how can we omit it? Means I didn't understood. Means it's whether it is constant, but it's making some effect.
See,
So,
what we are trying to do. See, listen to me. What we are trying to do. We are computing this quantity, right? And ultimately, for example, for H1 we are computing this quantity. For H2 we are computing this quantity, and so on. Right? So, what is this probability of D? This probability of D is the probability of training data set. Right? And this probability of D is computed without any knowledge of hypothesis. So while computing this probability of D, we are not at all considering any hypothesis. Right? So obviously, irrespective of any hypothesis we may have, this probability of D remains same. It is constant, irrespective of the hypothesis that we are using. Right? So, any quantity that we have computed divided by some constant. Right? Any quantity that we have computed divided by some constant. So, if this is the constant, it may not reflect or it may not affect actually this numerator, because for every hypothesis numerator would be different but denominator would be the same. So if we divide each quantity for different hypothesis with the same constant, it will not affect actually the ultimate quantity that we are getting or we are computing. Right? And that is why simply we may omit this, because it is not making any effect on the outcome that we are expecting. So, whichever is the hypothesis that is providing me the maximum probability that would become my H map, or that would become my maximally probable hypothesis, which is called as maximum a posteriori hypothesis, H map. So H map ultimately is being computed as R max. H belongs to capital H, probability of D given H into probability of H. That's all. No need to consider this probability of D because it remains constant throughout. I hope you must have understood.
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So may I proceed now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now let us further see the concept of maximum likelihood hypothesis. Right? The maximum likelihood hypothesis. So in some cases we assume that every hypothesis in our hypothesis space H is equally probable. So what we are assuming? We are assuming that every hypothesis in capital H, that is our hypothesis space, is equally probable. Then here probability of hypothesis HI is equal to probability of hypothesis HJ for all HI and HJ in hypothesis space H. So we are saying that, or we are assuming that every hypothesis is equally likely, is equally probable. So obviously probabilities of all the hypotheses HI and HJ are set in the hypothesis space, right? So here we can further simplify now our H map, right? And the most probable hypothesis we are going to compute now, and it is denoted as HML. Hypothesis H, most probable hypothesis HML, that is maximum likelihood hypothesis, and that is given as HML equal to R max for H that belongs to my hypothesis space capital H, probability of D given H. Why? Because we are assuming that all the hypotheses are equally likely. So probability of HI is equal to probability of HJ, right, for all the hypotheses. So further we are simplifying it like HML is equal to ARG max H that belongs to capital H, probability of D given hypothesis H, right? And this probability of D given H is the likelihood of the data D given H, the likelihood of the data D given H, and we are picking up the hypothesis that is going to maximize this likelihood of the data D. I'll repeat, we are going to pick the hypothesis which is maximizing the likelihood of the data D, right? And such a hypothesis is known as the maximum likelihood hypothesis. The maximum likelihood hypothesis. And this hypothesis is actually maximizing probability of D given H. Right? Yes.
Ma'am,
Yes.
what do you mean by likelihood here?
See, likelihood, maximum likelihood means, see, what we are trying to do is we are computing here probability of D, that is probability of data given hypothesis H, right? So we are having many different hypotheses as I stated in our hypothesis space capital H, right? So what we are trying to do is we are trying to find out the hypothesis such that the likelihood of the data D that is being generated is highest, right? So probability of observing data D, probability of observing data D given the hypothesis H, right? So that is denoted by this quantity, probability of D given H. That means probability of observing data D given some hypothesis H. So how probable, how likely is that data being generated when this particular hypothesis is in force? I'll repeat what we mean by this. If the hypothesis H is true, what is the likelihood of that data being generated? So D is the training data. So we know this training data, right? So what we are trying to compute is if this hypothesis H is true, what is the likelihood of this training data that is being generated? Or we may say that if the hypothesis H is true, the probability of this data D is being generated. Are you getting me? We are having some training data, and for that training data we are trying to find out this hypothesis H, right? So by making use of this hypothesis, what is the probability that this particular training data is being generated? That is what we are interested in, right? So whichever is the hypothesis that is giving us the maximum probability that we are going to pick. So for that, for every hypothesis, we are trying to compute the likelihood of the data D. What does this mean, likelihood of the data D? Data D is already known, right? Data D, that is the training data that we know already. But what we are trying to do now is, by using each and every hypothesis in our hypothesis space, we are trying to find out the likelihood of the data. That means if I am using this H1, how closely I can generate the data D. If I use H2, what is the likelihood of the data that is being generated, which is similar to this D, right? So probability of generating this data D by making use of all those hypotheses, that is what we are computing, and we are saying likelihood of the data D given H, right? So if whichever is the hypothesis that is generating more, or that is creating the data, training data similar to that was provided, then obviously that probability is more. So that likelihood is more, right? So this is what we are trying to achieve. Are you getting me?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So let's proceed now with one example so that you can have better understanding of these concepts, right? So to illustrate this Bayes theorem, we are having here one example, and this example is related to medical diagnosis problem with two alternative hypotheses, right? So a medical diagnosis problem is being considered with two alternative hypotheses. And what are these two alternative hypotheses? The patient has a particular form of cancer and the patient is not having the cancer. So these two are the hypotheses, those we want to test. The patient has a particular form of cancer or the patient does not have the cancer. Right? So these are two alternative hypotheses, those we would like to test. Now, the data is available from a particular lab. Okay? And this data is having two possible outcomes, positive and negative. So we are having two possible outcomes, positive and negative. So you may treat this as the class. So whether the patient is having cancer or whether the patient is not having the cancer, right? So we are having some data available from a laboratory test with these two possible outcomes, positive and negative. Okay, now there are some facts, those are been provided. So please see this problem statement now. So what facts are being provided? The lab test is only an imperfect indicator of disease. The lab test is only an imperfect indicator of disease. What does this mean? This means that we are undergoing the lab test or patients are undergoing the lab tests. But lab test, whatever is the outcome of the lab test, is not as perfect as it should be. So there are some errors, right? So the lab test is only an imperfect indicator of disease. The test returns a correct positive result in only 98% of the cases in which the disease is actually present. What does this mean? If the disease is actually present only 98% of times, the test returns the correct positive result. Right? It gives correct negative result in only 97% of the cases in which the disease is not present. That means actually the disease is not present and the test result also says that disease is not present is about 97%. Right? So in both the situations, when actually there is a disease and it has been reported as positive and there is no disease present and actually it is reported as negative, are having some errors in both the cases, right? So positive result if the disease is actually present is 98% and the correct negative result when the disease is not present is 97%. Right? So this is the data that is available. Now, new patient is observed for whom lab test returns a positive result. So should we diagnose the patient as having cancer or not? That is the question. Right? Now, with all this data and all these statistics, right, new patient is observed for whom the lab test returns a positive result. So should we diagnose the patient as having a cancer or not? That is the problem. And one more important statistic is being provided that given over the entire population of people, only 0.008 have the disease. So this probability is being given over the entire population. The probability that the people are having this disease is 0.008, right? And this statistics based on the laboratory results that has also been provided. So whenever the new patient comes in, okay, and for whom the lab test returns the positive result, we want to identify whether that patient is actually having cancer or not. Okay, now using this Bayes theorem, we are going to formulate this problem. So let's see how we can do that. So let us list out first whatever is the given data. So what has been given? Given probability of cancer equal to 0.008. So probability that a person is having cancer, that has been given as 0.008, right? So obviously probability that the person cancer is obviously 1 minus probability of cancer, right? So obviously 1 minus 0.008 comes out to be 0.992. So probability that the person is not having cancer is 0.992. Okay, now what next? We have been provided with some conditional probabilities now. So it has been mentioned that probability that the person is positive given the person is having cancer is 0.98. So probability of patient being diagnosed as positive and he or she is actually having the cancer, this probability is given as 0.98. So obviously the probability that the person is diagnosed as negative but it is having the cancer is 0.02. Right? Similarly, what else has been provided? It has been provided that probability of having diagnosed as positive but the person is not having cancer is 0.03 and the probability that the person is diagnosed negative and actually the person is not having cancer is 0.97. So this has been given and we have computed this as 1 minus this probability, right? So this has been given in the problem statement, this has been given in the problem statement and this probability has been given in problem statement. So remaining 3 probabilities are being computed by us, right? So these 3 quantities are available in the problem statement. I hope you must have understood what we are trying to do. Yes. Is there any doubt so far? Yes. See, in the problem statement, it has been mentioned that the probability that the people are having this disease in general is 0.008. It has been given. So, based on this, we can compute the probability that the person is not having cancer. So, it is 0.992. What else has been provided? It has been provided that probability of having diagnosed as positive and the person actually is having the cancer is 0.98. So the person is diagnosed positive and he or she is actually having the cancer. This probability is given as 0.98, right? So we can compute the probability that the person is diagnosed negative but actually the person is having cancer. It is 0.02. Further, it has been given that probability that person is being diagnosed negative and the person is not actually having the cancer is 0.97. So based on that, we have computed the probability that person is diagnosed as positive, but he or she is not having actually the cancer. So this probability comes out to be 0.03. Now, what we want to do is, new patient is observed for whom lab test returns a positive result. So, should we diagnose the patient as having cancer or not? So, now let us apply the Bayes theorem. So, we are having two hypotheses. And what are these two hypotheses? Probability, or the hypothesis one is the patient is having cancer, and the other hypothesis is patient is not having cancer. So, we are computing here probability of cancer provided positive. Probability of having cancer provided the patient is diagnosed as positive, and this is equal to applying Bayes theorem. Probability of positive given cancer into probability of cancer divided by probability of positive. Right? So, by substituting probabilities, come up with this quantity 0.0078 divided by probability of positive. Similarly, we are computing here probability of not having cancer given the test is positive, because what we have here is the patient has undergone the test. So patient has undergone the test and the test is positive. So we want to find out the probability that there is no cancer given the test is positive. Right? So probability that there is no cancer given test is positive is equal to probability of positive given no cancer into probability of no cancer divided by probability of positive. So it comes out to be 0.0298 divided by probability of positive. Now, as we have stated, this probability of positive that can be omitted, right? So, the maximum a posteriori hypothesis that we are going to compute is, we need to check this value and we need to check this value. So, which is the maximum value out of these two? Because we are testing two hypotheses here. So, the maximum probable hypothesis is the probability, or maximum probable hypothesis is no cancer, right? Because this probability is maximum, right? So this is how we are going to predict that even though the new patient has come up with a positive result of lab test, the patient do not have cancer. Why? Because the probability of not having cancer is more than the probability of having cancer. And that is why ultimately we are predicting that even though the patient tests positive in the lab test, the patient do not have cancer. So this is what our solution is. Right? Are you getting me? If you have any doubts, please let me know. Yes. Do you have any doubts? Have you understood this computation?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? So this is how we are making use of this HMAP. Maximum a posteriori probability. So we are computing the probabilities for both the hypothesis, having cancer and not having cancer. So whichever is the probability that is maximum, right? That hypothesis we are going to pick. So here the hypothesis not cancer is giving us maximum a posteriori probability, and that is why we are picking up this hypothesis that patient do not have cancer. Correct? So I hope you must have understood. If you have any doubts, please let me know so that we can clarify the doubts. Right? So I hope you must have understood how Bayes' theorem can be related to machine learning problems. Right? So in the next class, we are going to extend these concepts and we are going to discuss about few more algorithms. Like we are going to look at the Bayes concept learning, learning a real valued function, Bayes optimal classifier and Gibbs classifier. So in the next class, we are going to discuss about these few concepts. So let's stop today. Thank you.